It's a spiritual piece. It came about in different ways, but it would sort of add to the very idea of looking at something in a sacred manner. Because being an Aboriginal, you would call it imagination. We call looking at things in a sacred manner. This is Black Elk, and he is, the whole concept of him is looking in a sacred manner.
If you do any research on Black Elk and who Black Elk was to the history of the Native culture, then you'll understand that sometimes some things are bigger than yourself, and this obviously is bigger than me, and I don't have the ability to put it into words, just that it exists, and it's a wonderful thing. It was a monkey tree that was planted by my grandmother in the early 60s, and it ended up probably about 70 feet, maybe 80 feet high. In 2011 or 12, it started to die slowly. So it was one of those things, it was a tearful thing when it actually died. I was upset, but there was nothing I could do about it. But I said to myself, if there was something I could do with the tree, and I didn't know what it was, but I wanted to do something special for it.
He showed me the piece of wood, this big 300-pound piece of wood. He spent months on it, just poring over it and adding his blood, sweat, and tears.
For some reason, I knew that I wanted the stump, and I wanted to do something with the stump because it was the thickest part of the tree.
We talked about it, and I said, well, I have this sketch, I have this idea, because everything begins with an idea. So I had this idea, and I showed him and said, oh yeah, I like that.
And all that picture was a mask, and it was a beautiful mask, and I said, yeah, that'll be perfect for me, and I expected a mask, not a sculpture. Initially, the plan was that I would do some chopping, but when it came to the actual chopping, when he realized that it was going to be a ceremonial piece, as far as he was concerned, I was no longer a chopper, but I had the opportunity to actually sand another piece of wood as a trial. And because that piece turned out so well, he was fine with me sanding because he knew I had a great respect for wood.
Now, art is what I think in my work, I like to recognize those people who helped me to do what this is, because this piece would not look like you see it today without my Skinner, who has a definite relationship in getting into my headset and saying, oh.
At this point, we're still waiting for the flower to emerge, but it's there and you can see it, and it's quite a presence.
So you got to work upside down all through here, and it's got to be really nice and clean. It's constantly evolving, and it's constantly moving, and if you do it right, it has a presence, and it has its own look that looks like it's always been there.
And I think that really states that with everything, that you have to take time to grasp not necessarily the reality, but the scope of things, that sometimes we briskly go by things without taking a second look. And with Black Elk, hopefully people will look at it and take a second look, because there's more there than what you realize or you see.
There's a whole group of wonderful people up in Parksville. Now, they've invited me for the month of June to come up and show this piece with a number of other pieces that I had. And so I'm very honored that they would invite me. They're a great, swell bunch of people. And I think anybody who's got a few moments of their time, or even a destination, go out to Parksville, check it out.
This is beyond anything I could have dreamed of. I don't know that I can put in words how thrilled and happy I am with how the process has turned out, and what a great artist IceBear is, and that his faith and belief in his inner talent and genius has brought to life something that wasn't alive, that had died, is remarkable.